Good evening and welcome to Two Small Biz Guys with Zen Benefiel and
Ray Silverstein. I'm the second small biz guy. You know that? That's interesting. How small do you have to be?
Two taste treats in one.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, we're going back way back in the well, you should remember that. You're old enough.
Oh, what do you... Okay.
All right, well, this evening's guest is Michael Del Prete. He has been in the real estate industry for quite some time. He's a real estate investor and all-around problem solver. Michael's known for providing top-of-the-line advice. I don't know what the bottom of the line. Maybe it's more like bottom-line advice for the top of the line. Would you say that?
Well, you got bottom-line advice. You can have the top of the line, so you end up with a positive bottom line.
There we go. All to create cash flow. Before real estate, Michael had leadership positions in the mortgage and wireless industries, and he's also a member of the Arizona Multi-Housing Association, Arizona Real Estate Association, and he leads the meetup group for Kiyosaki's Cash Flow 101. I was surprised at that. So, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so this evening now, we're talking about some myths, I think. Investing in real estate is risky. You have to be rich to invest in real estate, or I don't have money to invest. I don't have enough time to invest. I do just fine with stock. Or the market has recovered. All the really good deals are gone. So we're going to discuss each one of those. But first of all, let's talk about how you got into this to begin with. What was your impetus for moving out of where you were to where you are?
I just wanted.
How's that for nebulous?
This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I was working at Verizon Wireless full time, 9 to 5. So
reaching out and touching someone, huh? How dare you?
Via phone.
Okay.
Customer service, the best I can, and that's when it was around 2009. The recession, everything had crashed, as you guys know. So
time to change.
Definitely changed. So I was used to the boom. Everyone was making all the money, all the easy money. That's all I knew about watching the reality shows.
So does that mean you're more interested in the bust?
Yeah. Well, I did well in the bust, so it wasn't that bad.
The bust helping boom.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So go on with your background. So how did you get into the real estate game?
I started researching. So I was always interested on the television shows. So I was at work and people were just talking about houses $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So I went on a couple websites and started checking it out, and it was really interesting. So I started Googling and YouTubing and just doing my research. So I saw a phrase called wholesaling. So when you get into real estate, all you see is fix and flip landlord. So it seems so out of reach for me. $100,000. I don't have $100,000. I don't have credit. I don't have all these resources. I can't swing a hammer. So I was like, what do I do? So I kept researching wholesaling. I found a guy with 100 videos on how to wholesale real estate. And I just followed him, watched him, and took action. And I got my first deal.
Cool. I was involved in that for a little bit with really cheap stuff in the Midwest that had been basically gutted, and you could pick up a house for anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000, and of course then you had to put the money into it to get it back to livable conditions again. But that kind of pricing is just really unheard of, and yet it was available.
Yes.
But I'm curious, when you got your first deal after watching these videos, so what happened on that deal?
The first deal, those little street signs you see on the corners, I pay cash for houses.
Right.
So that's what I did. So
So you were a street vendor?
No, street vendor. I had hired someone to place the signs for me.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So it works, and this gentleman had a condo in the Maryville area, and his mother was sick. He had a problem. He needed to get out of Dodge. He wanted to go be with her. So he sold me his condo for $12,000. I then needed a buyer. I wasn't going to buy it because the goal was to wholesale it using other people's money, other people's resources. So I sent a letter to everyone that owned more than 2 condos in the complex. said, hey, I'm selling a condo. If you want another one, give me a call.
It's a pretty smart idea.
Phone went off the hook.
So when you're talking about the wholesaling, which I've never seen these videos, but so wholesaling means is that you basically really don't you have a simultaneous buy and close.
Yeah, very similar. You're buying property at a discount and you're selling property at a discount.
Okay, so in that situation, you're looking for a opportunity to buy,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have a group of investors basically to back you in that situation, or you have a buyer who's going to take it from you at the same time.
Exactly. Yes. The goal is to always look for sellers. You're always looking for buyers, and that's, you assign your interest in the contract to them.
All right.
You like that?
Well, now I assume that since you've been doing this for a couple of years that you have a list of potential buyers and a list of potential, I guess sellers come and go, but your people who act in your syndication, your investors,
Mm-hmm.
they are with you year after year and happy campers?
Yeah. There's buyers go through cycles. So some investors buy one house a year, some buy 10 a month. So you're just always building relationships. You're building your database, and you reach out. You know exactly what they want. You're kind of like a waiter or waitress.
And if you want to be part of Michael's database, you can go to wehearthouses.com, and that's just like it sounds, wehearthouses.com. No way to put an actual heart sign in there, so he just spells it out.
Yep.
And he actually has an ebook available from the website, and it's kind of interesting. It's about the use of an IRA, and some interesting things there. You want to make a comment or two about that, Michael?
Yeah, sure. It's an instant download. Go to wehearthouses.com, and really it's just to open up your eyes and let you know that you can use your IRA for real estate, and this gives you some options to think about and just kind of think outside the box and let you know what's available to you. It's just a very basic beginner's ebook.
What do you find most common where people take money from a specific area and then put it into the personal IRA? What types of things, or what's the most common that people might recognize that aren't familiar with it?
Yeah, like their 401k from their previous job or their place of employment. So transferring it to an IRA and then investing it into whatever they know of. Most people bring it to a custodian with their IRA, and they just they got their stock options or mutual funds to choose from. And they really don't know the advantages that real estate has to offer. So you can pick up some of those in the ebook.
And by and large, real estate offers a lot healthier returns.
It can, yes.
So do you find a lot of
unless you're back in 2008.
Okay. Do you find a lot of your investors really have IRAs that they're using? Is that where it's really a lot of the past activity has come from?
Yeah, a lot of investors are for example, the wholesale deals. A lot of investors are buying with their IRA to grow their retirement fund. So they're buying wholesale deals. Some people like to take the deal on themselves. Some people like to partner.
Oh, that's interesting. So, after you first got involved, you read this, you watched these videos on wholesaling,
Mm-hmm.
and then you went out and said, "Eureka! I got one," and you were able to then on this condo sell it? Was that a time period or anything? When you make the deal on that condo, do you have to sell it within a certain period of time? I mean, is it your deal with them limited as to time?
It's all negotiable, and I try to create it around what they need, what the seller needs. Just trying to make it a fair situation, win-win. So if they have time, I'll ask them for some more time. But if they need it in 3 days, 7 days, I'll commit to it, and I'll find a way to get a buyer to purchase it, or I'll buy it myself.
Oh, okay. So therefore, you have the assets if you can't find the buyer. So if a person's out there who is looking to make a sale, you're available out there to make that, even if you have to do it right away.
Yes, I am definitely able to close within 24 hours as long as title's ready.
Okay, so you don't stop the clock, do you?
Nope.
Time waits for no one.
We say it's now o'clock.
Right.
So that's one structure. So what are some of the other type of structures?
As in investing in real estate, or
investing in real estate.
Well, there's structures in a deal. There's fix and flip. There's landlording. There's buying notes.
Do you get involved in all those type of things, or are you just primarily in one area?
Right now, I'll always buy and sell a deal. That's always a strategy. It's kind of like having a tool in the toolbox. But right now, I'm buying properties, renovating them, and holding them long term.
So do you have a group of contractors or qualified contractors you use all the time?
Yes. It's all about building teams. So, from property management, contractors, everything you need.
And speaking of everything you need, we're going to take a commercial break here and provide you with everything you need. Well, hopefully. And we'll be right back with Two Small Biz Guys. And welcome back to Two Small Biz Guys with tonight's guest, Michael Del Prete, and we're talking about real estate investment and wholesale house buying.
Well, but you were talking before before we went on the air about risk versus reward.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're on the air now. We were off the air.
Yeah, we're I know that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the red lights.
I'm glad to see you're so observant. You listen well. Some people do consider real estate risky because you don't have the liquidity aspect. So what is when you get someone who has that kind of concern, how do you respond to that, or what do you think about real estate risk?
Well, first I like to point out inflation. So doing nothing, just having your money sit in the bank account, sitting at your house, inflation goes up by average of 3% a year. So you're losing money just by not doing anything. That's my first point. 401ks and mutual funds, they follow the stock market. So those had their, back in the recession, you saw what happened there. Or even now, watching the news, you see it's always going up and down. So with real estate, it's tangible. You could drive by it, you could see it. You have some control. Whereas with stocks, you don't.
Yeah, well, the only difference is in real estate, if I put my money into it, I can't. If I need money the next day or next week or whatever, I can't get my money out that quickly. So I have a asset, but I don't have the liquidity aspect to it. So therefore, my return should be greater because I'm giving up liquidity.
Well, that goes into your investor identity. I mean, what are you? Before you go into a real estate investment, you got to know why you're doing it, and you got to kind of understand the terms of it and what you're getting involved in before you just
Do you want a stream or a river?
Yeah. So
piles the cash or streams of cash.
So when you're dealing with these people, how do you evaluate them to know what type of deal they should really go into?
It's a relationship. So I say real estate's 80% relationship. So it's just I just don't do business with anybody. So we got to have the same. We got to be on the same page, same values.
And there's certain conversations that have to take place that oftentimes when you deal, especially with that type of transaction,
yes,
that they're a little more intimate, and you need to know more about the individual in order to create that relationship and to develop the ability to provide them what they're looking for, because they may not know right away. I mean, they may just have some ballpark ideas, and hey, I've heard that this is a good thing, and you seem to be a guy that's knowledgeable about it, and one of the ways that I would imagine that you help people understand that is through Kiyosaki's game, the Cash Flow 101.
Yes, definitely.
So in that, do you find that even some of your clients come out of the game, or is this more just kind of an educational thing that helps keep you up to speed and asking the right questions?
Now, is that board game, is that B-O-A-R-D or B-O-R-E-D?
Well, it's however you want it.
Oh, I can see how any way you want it. Okay,
it's a tuba four.
But go ahead and tell us about how you work with a potential investor to create this relationship and also determine what they're really looking for.
So in regards to the board game, yes, to keep me up to date, I call my specific game that I host a Train Your Brain to See Money, because you're going to pay attention to what's important to you. So the game is like Monopoly on steroids, so it's real life scenarios. where your car breaks down and you get married and you have babies. So it's like real life scenarios, and the goal is to get your income from income producing assets, passive assets, above your expenses. And you have an occupation, so you got to live your real life on the board game.
And it gives you a great way that, with little risk, to understand the parameters and to engage the process a little more intellectually, so that when it does come up in real life, or it may have already, but it gives you other ways of looking at things to see what might happen.
So Robert Kiyosaki says, do you want to learn how to fly a plane in the air or in a flight simulator? I don't know about you, but yes.
Hey, I'm throwing me into the cockpit in the air. I'm ready to go.
So you could come play the game, experience some real life scenarios, work with and speak with and play with other real investors, whether they're new or been in the business for a while. All types of people come and ask questions, make mistakes on the board game. So when you are ready to go out into the market, you kind of have some of experience, and you maybe built some relationships from the game.
And this is through Meetup, correct?
Meetup.com, yeah.
Okay.
Or you can go on my website as well.
WeHeartHouses.com. But the Meetup group is called
Train Your Brain to See Money.
Train Your Brain to See Money.
So you are a trainer, is that it?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Just like to help. I was coached when I first started, so I feel that's very important to have a mentor or a coach in your life to help you advance. So if I could make you, that much smarter at the end of the game to help you just a little bit more.
It's a pay it forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
You've received the benefit from others' wisdom, and then you get a chance to pass it on.
Yep, and I share it. And
that's how it works.
Yeah, and definitely works.
So most of these investors that you deal with, what is the size of the investment that they're making?
It ranges. I'm usually under $500,000.
So you're talking about per investor, or is that a total investment?
Total, the deals that I've been doing have been under $500,000.
So, okay, so what is the size? What is the size of a person who wants to invest? Do they need 100,000? They need 25,000?
Oh, they're about 180, maybe 6 foot.
That's right.
No,
well,
you said what the size?
Well, I understand that.
It goes back to kind of what you asked before. Their goals in how do I start working with them? So some people only have 10,000. Some people can go up to 500,000. It just depends who they are, what their goals are, what they're trying to do, and there's options out there. I might not have that option today, but we build that relationship. We get to know each other, and if it's 10,000 or whatever it may be, when the project comes that fits your scenario, we'll bring it to the table.
And do these investors, they go in as a lender, or do they go in as an asset owner, as an investor in the property?
It's both. It's possible to do both. So it just depends on their goals, once again, and who they are as an investor.
Okay, so in other words, when you have a particular property and you're looking for an investor, you say, okay, investor A is looking for an equity position where they might have a greater return. Investor B is looking for a kind of a fixed return above what they can get in the marketplace, such as a bank or a CD. So that's what I'll put them in, that type of position.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever put both these different type of investors in the same transaction?
Well, usually if they're a part of the deal, as in appreciation, depreciation, or cash flow, there's no really reason to be in the lending side, because they're the term that they're getting, the benefit they're getting is ownership or equity stake. So they're really not just the lender. It's kind of lender's a little separate than.
Okay, but sometimes you can go in the transaction where you make part of the investment into an equity portion, or the ownership, or part of the investment into a lending relationship. So therefore, you kind of create less risk on the downside. So you have some upside, but not as much. But you also have a protection on the downside, at least in theory.
Yes, we do provide the first lien positions on the property.
So you had also mentioned that people don't necessarily need to have money to go into real estate. Now you're talking in general, but is that because of your experience?
Yes. There's two parts of the deal: knowledge and time, and money and credit. So if you don't have the knowledge and time to be involved, or no interest in being involved in real estate, I provide a team. wealth's a team sport, so we have the property managers, contractors, we have all the systems in place to find deals and renovate them and get them to perform.
Okay, so basically you're like the head coach. You're bringing the team.
Yes,
and
sir.
People who want to come in say, you have the experience, then you bring this team into them, so they really have a kind of like a turnkey investment.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yes. We provide every A to Z. We provide everything there.
A to Z. Wow,
There you go. Like that? I made that one up.
No, you made that one up.
You're
Oh,
right.
so you know your alphabet.
Yes.
Okay. So
Well, you're in AZ.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are.
But he not only knows he doesn't only know cash flow. He knows his alphabet, so that's pretty good. You must eat a lot of soup.
I should.
Speaking of soup, we're going to get in the thick of it here. You mentioned earlier that you found that after some time in fix and flips and your initial investments that you became aware that, like Kiyosaki says, you want to hold on to things. What was it that really made that clear to you initially?
Cash flow. What made cash flow clear to me was, even though I'm a real estate investor or I have a couple rentals, when I first started and I was wholesaling was my primary strategy, I was always chasing the deal. So you're still working. And Robert's cash flow quadrant, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's you're employed or self-employed. And you always want to get to the business or investor side. So it's hard to paint it over the radio, but that's what.
Now, what are some of the fears that you have to address in order to move into those places? What did you have to address personally? Because I would imagine that it's similar for everyone.
To like leave your job, or what do you mean?
All the kinds of things that you felt important to address and move through.
Education, educating yourself on what you're getting involved in. Confidence. You got to be confident in yourself because you're the only person that can do it.
All right. Well, We'll be right back and pick up that conversation after these messages. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back with you with Two Small Biz Guys with a third party. Welcome back to Two Small Biz Guys with Zen Benefiel
And Ray Silverstein.
and our guest, Michael Del Prete. Now, right before the break, we were talking about overcoming some fears, and one of the things you mentioned was education. We also have built a website called Practical Biz U that has a lot of coursework for small business concerns that
or people who want to go into business.
Yeah, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, wannapreneurs. Really good
Nobody
material.
wants manure, but
It's definitely not manure. But I don't know. It could be some really
you got to put the pre in.
good shit, man. So WeHeartHouses is .com is Michael's website, and in that he discusses some of the things that got him where he's at. But we were talking about the fears that generally folks have to go through in order to really embrace and get involved with this the cash flow business, and especially with real estate. So you started to talk about some of the things that you'd had to go through. Pick it up. Over to you, Mike.
Some of the things that I had to go through. People fear what they don't know.
Well, most people have to go through, and
Yeah.
oftentimes we don't want to necessarily, talk about our fears or, things like that, but it really does help to address them, identify them, because if you don't, then you can't walk through them.
True. So my fears, the security, the job security, where's my next paycheck going to come from?
Just over broke.
Just over broke, insurance for my family and, all those things. And, those were the fears you had to face, but educating myself and taking action, I was just confident in myself. So I think
When you were on the precipice looking over, wondering whether to jump or not, you weren't quite sure you knew how to fly. But once you took that step, you found out that, oh, yeah, I do have wings, and they work.
yeah, wings and support from my wife and my family, and that's huge in building your confidence as well.
So when you did your first transaction, were you still working at the time?
Yes, I was working from 2 p.m. to 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I'd wake up early, 6, 7, work till, I had time to go to work. I did that for a year.
Okay. And how long before you were involved in doing the wholesaling of real estate before you said, I have enough courage and enough experience that I can doing it on my own?
1 year.
So 1 year, that's actually a short time.
Yeah, and I phased it. So I did full-time, and I went down to part-time. And then actually my 5th year in business was this December 12th. So where they say 97% of people fail within the first 5 years. So it was pretty.
Generally, first 3 years normally.
3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So.
And about that same percentage of success happens because you show up.
Yes. Yeah, you got to show up.
Now, in showing up, what kind of plan or how much time did it take for you to actually sit down and map out a plan to do this? Or did you? Or
no?
How'd that happen?
Well, the plan was to follow the videos initially. So,
okay.
And then within that year, on my second deal I was working on, an investor that called me was my first, mentor coach who I ended up joint venturing with and going into business with, where he was already in the business for 5 years. So the dynamic there was, traffic times conversion equals revenue. So it
wasn't just, okay, Michael, do this.
No.
Yeah, boss.
I had a grasp on marketing and making the phone ring, and he already was in the business, so he can convert a deal. So he knew all the structures and the strategies and the buyers for the deals. So I kept making the phone ring. He kept converting the deals, and we just were both learning at the same time and just moving forward.
Sounds like a sweet deal.
Yeah, worked out.
So in today's environment, some people feel that the real estate market has improved.
Mm-hmm.
So is wholesaling still an option for people to be an investor in today's marketplace?
Certainly, definitely.
And why do you believe that?
Because as a wholesaler or a real estate investor, when you're looking for a property, you're looking for problems, not properties. So there's always problems.
Yeah, when you look for these problems, does that mean that you have resolutions to them, or because you're taking on the problem?
Yes.
So how do you resolve those problems?
Well, it all depends on the scenario at hand. So you do, when you meet the person that wants to sell their house or needs to leave town or whatever it is, you do whatever you can to get them out of that situation. So normally, in a wholesaling aspect, it's the cash.
So you're a little helper, is that it?
If that's what it takes,
well, he's
I'll
the
help.
Problem solver.
No,
you
read it in the bio, remember?
No, he's a helper. He's a helper.
I'll help him out for sure. Add value to the situation, help them get out of theirs, and therefore I have a profitable deal that I can work on with myself and my investors, and we move on.
So, in the moving on, are you looking for what types of people are you looking for? How do you want to grow yourself now? What kind of people do you want to be involved with?
Well, what we like to do here at We Heart Houses is
easy questions, huh?
Yeah, very easy.
Yeah.
Just show regular people how to grow their retirement fund so that they can retire and do more of what they love and less of what they hate.
What makes a good investor for you? What is their personality? What do they like?
Just someone that wants to make more money in real estate, someone that wants to grow their retirement, someone that's a good person, a good person to work with.
And what is a good person to work with? What does that mean?
Well, we're on the same page. We have the same goals, same values. We have the same end in mind on that real estate project.
Okay, so basically when you talk about same goals, you're measuring them and they're also measuring you to make sure that you're compatible.
Yeah, I would definitely want them to measure me and ask me anything. Actually, I sat down with an investor, and before we did our deal, he didn't ask me anything about my previous deals or my contractors or my property manager. And I was like, just so you didn't ask me anything about my history. He's like, I'm looking for integrity and character. So that to that person, that was it. Didn't matter about the past.
So how did he determine your integrity and character? He says, "Oh, you're a character. That's it."
Yeah. Well,
say what you're going to do and do it.
Yeah, exactly. Doing what you say. And that relationship didn't happen in one phone call. It was download the ebook, my response, scheduling an appointment, responding to the appointment, showing up on time, replying to the emails, answering all the questions and being transparent, it all
Developing
builds
a
up.
relationship is a process.
Yes.
And you have to perform. You have to commit and perform every step of the way.
Yeah. So, relationship building. So, then my investors, unless it's a wholesale deal where there's just quick cash transaction, but the long-term investors, it's a time thing.
So you say you're basically a problem solver. So what are the kind of problems out there that people have nowadays that with the market is better, not strong yet, but better. So what kind of problems they have that they really look to you to help as a helper?
Better.
Yep.
Oh, as a helper, and depending on the scenario of person, but if they're looking to grow their retirement, why I wrote the ebook is so they know the options out there, rather than just the CD or the mutual fund. So that's how I can help people looking to grow their retirement. Or if you're motivated to sell your house and you just don't have time to sit on the market or repair the house, I can help out by providing cash and purchasing the house in 24 hours, and so they can move on with their life. So
now, is that usually at a substantial discount as to what the market would normally be?
Yes, that does happen as well. There's depending on how you structure it, where maybe the seller carryback or seller financing, I can give you full price, but it's over time with payments.
How do you make a deal in 24 hours when you have to make sure that there's no liens and the property's really in their name and they can transfer a legitimate title and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, as long as
he knows people.
well, yeah, great question, because the title has to be clear. So
Right.
we do go through the title agency. There's people out there that already have their house at title. They already ran the report and they're ready to sell. So in that scenario, yes, we just got to bring the funds to the table. But yes, depending on, you can order a rush on the title report and you can get it fairly fast. I can't guarantee, but that's always told up front. We can if it's ready.
Okay, so in other words, you have the capability, or the seller, if they're thinking about it, they can assist in the speed to make this transaction go a lot faster.
Correct.
So you would be telling people who are listening in, if they really want to solve quickly and to remove some of the preparation time, is that they ought to get themselves ready.
Yes, they can go to, there's a lot of reputable title agencies, Chicago Title, Security Title. There's a lot of places around town you can call your local agent and they'll tell you what to do, how to open escrow when they do have a buyer.
All right. So also, so you're this problem solver. So when somebody wants a deal, you say you now have the money, the cash, that you can make the deal without having the investors to come in to help you.
Correct. Yes, I can. Yes.
So I assume that you're using banks to support you on this until you get investors that have a takeout, or you just do this on your own?
Yes, we have our own funds at We Are Houses, as well as you have private lenders.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So in other words, you've had the experience where not only are your investors having the confidence in you, but also outside, say, lending institutions and organizations have confidence in you that they feel that you're really a legitimate guy.
You got it. Yeah, over 200 deals in the last 5 years. You got it.
Okay.
Here in the Valley.
So 200 deals in the last 5 years, 40 a year.
You got it.
You're a busy guy.
Good math.
Good math.
Good math. I'm going, wow, that's pretty cool.
Well,
Is that a calculator over there?
Can you see that on the radio?
I would say that figures, but
So right before we take the next break, I do want to bring your attention back to Michael's ebook, available on the website at wehearthouses.com. It's called Self-Directed IRA. First things first, plant the seed. And there's several points of order that are available there. Just fill your name into the form and you'll get an instant download of the ebook. And away you go. Speaking of away you go, we'll be right back. And welcome back for our last segment with Michael Del Prete. Now, Michael, on the break, we were talking about the ups and downs of your business, and particularly involved with, when the big guys kind of, judging how the market is, and I I've even gotten the letters of the guys that come into town to do all these big real estate seminars, and you mentioned that, your local business kind of falls off at that point because these guys are coming into town and flooding the market. Do you find that after they've gone, you're picking up some of the pieces of what they've left behind with people who didn't really get it or had problems and couldn't find the answers that they needed? Does your business then grow a little afterwards?
Well, I started when it was down, so they weren't really around. So now this is kind of the first, because I'm only 5 years in the business, so I started at the very bottom. So
right.
Now I'm transitioning into a better market. So
well, and you're a local guy too. My question, I guess, if I could make it clearer, is that when these guys come and go, do they leave anyone in their wake that you have to pick up and dust off and say, hey, it's okay, and here's a better way?
Yeah, because the bigger institutions or the bigger companies, they're not as detailed or as personable.
They're numbers.
Yeah, it's just numbers, everything, in and out. Whereas I can go in and once again relationships and just sit there and build rapport with the family if it's buying a house, and work with them. And when we're in the break, we're talking about like the gurus that sell that education in the seminars.
Right.
They train people. So they might not even be a big company. They train new people that want to get involved where they're less experienced, and they overpromise and underdeliver.
Right.
So yes, when I get the call, I'm able to pick up the pieces on that situation.
So what does that do to the industry that you're in or the business that you're in? If you have people are getting, say, somewhat trained, and now you undermine somewhat, and all of a sudden they fall off, does that give the industry a stigma? And so therefore you have a double job to really create the relationship and the rapport and the trust?
Yes. Very, very good point. Yes.
Because you're dealing with damaged goods at that point.
Yes. So they're a little more, the guard's up. Yeah. So that's why I'm on shows like yours, reputable shows where I can talk about this. My website, ebooks, having these situations, the sit downs, the meetings, going to my blog session, being able to educate yourself. A lot of the new guys, they'll fake it till they make it, so to speak. They'll talk a big game just to try to get through the deal as fast as they can. And hopefully it all sticks together. So I think by being able to educate people and add value and truly, like I said, sit down and see what's going on here. How can I fix your problem?
Okay, so from a marketing point of view, you say now that there's a certain there's a formula which has to do with the number of transactions, the number of calls, and so forth.
Metric.
Okay. So have you ever put together a marketing plan for your type of business so that you can create people who have these issues where you can assist them and help them?
So I have a plan where I know how much marketing needs to go out, which will lead to so many calls, which leads to so many offers, which leads to so many deals.
Okay, so you have what they call a sales funnel. Are you familiar with the term?
Okay. Yes.
So you have a sales funnel to know what your ratio has to be, and you know how many transactions you have to do. So if you take the bottom number of transactions, that tells you how much activity you must do at the top of the funnel.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, you agree.
I'm there.
You're there. Okay. So do you ever get involved in testimonials?
Yes, if you go to my success story page on my website, I do have video testimonials and social proof. I think that's huge because everyone takes, if you're going to go to a movie, you ask your friend if they like the movie or not. You're not going to go by the ad. So yes, every customer I ask for a video or a handwritten letter.
And that turns into social currency.
Yes.
That's a new term in this decade that we never really heard too much of until the advent of social media. And now we've got all kinds of different ways of garnering testimonials, be they written or video, which is usually the most powerful. And still people are a little reluctant to get in front of the camera because public speaking still, that's the number one fear.
Yes, it is.
So how easy has it been for you to get people in front of the camera?
Well, I would say it's 50-50. A lot of people are like, I'll just write it or I'll email you. So I get a lot of emails and a lot of handwritten letters. But what I do in that situation is when I print them all. Well, I don't print. Well, the emails I print, handwritten, so I laminated them all. And then so when I go sit down at the kitchen table, I bring them with me. So I'll say, rather than me telling you I'm number one, because I really don't like doing that, I'll let my clients, show you, and you have the handwritten letters right there.
And generally, what is the reaction when you bring these testimonials?
Because they read them and they're so real, it actually resonates with them. They're like, their eyes open up. They're like, wow, that's me. I'm doing that right now.
Now, are these testimonials both for sellers and investors, or just the sellers?
Every client, so it doesn't matter. It could be, yes, someone that wants to sell their home or invest into a project, yes.
So every client, so every person you've ever dealt with is a potential referral source for you.
Yes, potential, yes. They don't always want to do it, like you said, whether being in front of the camera or, on the seller side, it's hard because they just want to move on. They just want to sell the house and move on. So,
what do you do with someone that just isn't your type of client?
Yeah. So not my type. I could refer them to someone that they will fit with. So if we're just not a match, it's part as friends.
And I think that does happen.
Oh yeah, all the time. Sometimes you don't click.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. In the manufacturing world, there's the cost of goods sold. They have direct labor, direct material, and hassle factor. So the question of hassle factor comes into a transaction is the relationship.
We used to call those expediting fees.
They call it life is too short is what they call it.
Yeah, and that's one of the first things I've learned when I'm selling to cash buyers is if they're a problem now, like in the beginning stages of your relationship, they're going to be a problem within the deal. So when I'm talking to you and taking your order, like what kind of house do you want to buy, how many bedrooms, how much repairs, and they're just short with me and this, I got cash, and just straight don't even want to talk, I normally don't keep them or try to reach out to them because they always end up being a problem in the middle of the deal when you need to all work together to get it done.
Do you on these deals, is there a real estate agent representing the seller?
There can be, and there has been, but not all the time.
Okay, but if there's not a real estate agent, what do you do regarding the potential exposure that the seller doesn't really relate to you certain circumstances about the property?
Well, it's laid out. I have a simple agreement that we fill out. It's these deals that when we purchase are cash as is deals. So there's not much really to the houses are usually in distress, disrepair, and they just want out. So I always offer, say, hey, if you'd like a real estate agent, you're more than welcome to contact one. If you want an attorney, you're more than welcome to contact one. You have the title company you can ask all your questions to. So they have fair game to do whatever they like.
Okay, the reason I asked the question, because the real estate agent has a responsibility to lay out the various terms and conditions that might be a fault. And if the seller doesn't have one, it's their word is their kind of their bond. And if you go to investors and the real estate, and they re-rated correct information to you, do you ever get caught in that type of situation?
I haven't had that much. No, I haven't had that situation where I was related, because I understand on the buying side of it, it's cut and dry. You're just buying where is as is, and I don't need to know anything else.
Speaking of cut and dry, we're about ready to close out. For somebody wanting to get into the biz, so to speak, what could you give as your best advice in a short snippet?
Best advice to getting in the biz is take action.
Oh, you
want to keep it short.
That's shorter.
Okay.
You asked for it.
Yeah, can you draw that out?
And if somebody would like to invest with you or to investigate with you, what would you? How should they contact you?
Easiest way, wehearthouses.com. You got my email on there. You have all my social media links. Go to the events page. You can come to a cash flow game. I hold them on Tuesdays and Saturdays. There's plenty of ways to reach out to me.
And he's a personable guy.
Thank you.
We just found out here in the studio this evening.
And also trustworthy.
Yeah.
Took me a while to warm up, but I think I got there.
Yeah, good. Well, we thank you all for listening in. I'm Zen Benefiel with
Ray Silverstein
and Mike Del Prete.
And we thank you for joining us this evening. We'll be back next week with two small biz guys.
Will I be
Have
there?
a great week. Yeah, you'll be here in spirit. Hi, I'm Zen Benefiel with Be the Dream Transformational Life Coaching and Professional Services at BeTheDream.com. Our mission? To provide leading-edge transformational personal and business development services. Our services include life coaching, enterprise coaching, partnering facilitations, and possibilities coagulating. We've been in business since 1988. In times of massive change, you need someone who can help you adjust and transform. I can meet that challenge with you, offering a stellar skill set from serving individuals and companies for over 20 years. I invite you to peruse BeTheDream.com and put me to the test. Fill out the coaching assessment survey and give me a call. The first call is free, and you can find out if I'm what you are looking for in a coach, consultant, or service provider. Call 480-633-7179. Let your dreams mold future realities. BeTheDream.com.
You're listening to Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, Cave Creek, Phoenix, a division of Premier Radio Stations.